And I must confess that when I heard that you were coming here, I had to rush from another engagement to be here. And because we've been looking for you for a very long time. And we are happy that at least we can see. For those of you who don't know him, you just take your time and you get to know him very soon. And more so, our speaker, reminiscing about my work with engineers. I don't know whether it is going to be positive or it's going to be negative, because I know him from afar. He's a little bit tough, but today we'll find out. Well, fellow engineering practitioners, it is with great honor that I welcome you to this institution and also to this particular program organized by the Mechanical Agric Technical Division. This is one way we as practitioners learn. It is not always that you would read from books, but you need sometimes to listen, you know, the one who prayed, to wisdom. Some of these things, you cannot just hear them in the news, but then when you have an interaction with people like that, even standing here, his body language will minister to you, as they will say in church. Therefore, I would want each and every one of us, those of you who are online, to listen with rapt attention. I have come to learn. Don't forget about my gray beard. Some may not have gray or do not even have. Oh, so Engineer Muna, I wasn't going to talk about you. Sorry about that. But then the gray matter, the gray matter is not just there for nothing. Maybe some of us, we have white. It has, theirs is gray. You understand? Yes. So I would want each and every one of us to take opportunities like this very seriously, so that we'll become holistic engineers, not engineers who know only in parts. But when I'm not an electrical engineer, I was sitting there when they were having discussions and I was picking one or two things. The ones that I don't get, I'll go back and Google. You want to be like the Church of Bereans or the Bereans in the Bible. When they heard the word, they went back and they researched. So if you don't even understand, because you are civilized like me, don't worry. Go back and learn. So on this note, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to today's program, and more importantly, to the Ghana Institution of Engineering. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Engineer President. Before I introduce the chairman, I want to acknowledge all of our friends and colleagues online. We are acknowledging your friends and colleagues online. And also this program is being organized by all the technical divisions. So I also acknowledge them as well. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge one of our past presidents who is here, Engineer Dr. J. And then a past council member, and also a former CEO of Gridco, Engineer Muna. Let's see you. Thank you very much for coming. We also want to, we have Engineer Darlington here. Engineer Darlington is the chairman for the Mechanical Technical Division. Darlington, let's see you. Okay, I think, all right. So I will introduce our chairman. In fact, I have my executive director here, otherwise trouble for me. Engineer Deviante, I tell you. All right. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, Engineer Akoba is online. Engineer Akoba was a past president of the institution. Engineer Akoba was a past, yes. PP Akoba is online. Okay, and then Engineer Bekmana is also there. No, that's a more thing. All right, we acknowledge all of you, our friends online. Thank you very much for your time. As the baby said, Sophia is our vice president, and then Isaac Bedu, the registrar of the Engineering Council. Sorry, Dr. K. I've mentioned the name. Atubre Trenima. Atubra. So you see, Atu is there. I can't. The chairman for the electrical and electronic division, please come here. Atubra, please come. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce our chairman for this particular occasion. Our chairman is Engineer Kweku A. Awotwe. Wow. First of all, before I even go on, let's acknowledge him. A very important personality in our environment. I'm very glad to introduce this individual who is an expert in the field of energy, finance, and community development. So you see, all three in one: finance, energy, and community development. I'm sure he did some social studies somehow on the line. Engineer Awotwe serves as a beacon of inspiration and innovation, currently holding the position of the board chair of United Bank of Africa, Ghana Limited, Multimedia Group Limited, Ghana, and Play Soccer Ghana. Wow. A non-profit sport development organization he co-founded in 1999. Wow, this is my first time of hearing Play Soccer. I don't know how many of you have heard of Play Soccer in this car. Have you heard of Play Soccer? Maybe you'll tell us more about that. His tenure as the board chairman of Stanbic Bank in Ghana from 2012 to 2018, and the Volta River Authority 2017-2021 underscores his ability to steer institutions towards excellence and sustainable growth. He was trained as an electrical engineer and has been involved in the design of several integrated circuits in the mid-80s before transitioning to pivotal roles at Kaiser Aluminum and Chemical Corporation. Was that Vaco or that's different? That was Vaco, right? Okay. Sorry. That's the period. Oh, okay. Okay. And Ashanti Goldfish Company. His tenure as chief executive of Ghana's Volta River Authority from 2009 to 2013, and executive vice president and managing director of Tallow Oil and Tallow Ghana. The Tallow Oil is Tallow Oil UK and Tallow Oil Ghana from 2018 to 2022, solidify its reputation as a dynamic leader capable of navigating complex challenges with grace and foresight. Engineer Awotwe's academic credentials further enrich his multifaceted profile, boosting an MBA from the prestigious Stanford Graduate School of Business and a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, Economics, and Political Science from Yale University. These educational pillars, coupled with his wealth of professional experiences, equip him with a unique blend of technical expertise and strategic acumen. Ladies and gentlemen, with a great honor, let's welcome Engineer Kweku Awotwe.
Thank you for that kind introduction. So good evening, everybody. Our president, our old presidents, current CEO, fellow engineers. It's a great pleasure for me, and I really have the great honor to introduce my friend and colleague, and I hate to say it, family member, Mr. Martinez Benjamin. A distinguished leader and visionary in the fields of business, administration, and strategic project development. He was just telling me today, or telling us, 51 years professionally, a decade, career spanning decades, and accolades along the way that speak volumes to his commitment to excellence. He was born in Kumasi, and he had his education at Upukuwari, and then from there to the University of Ghana School of Administration. After that, he moved on to UAC International, Unilever Ghana, and Heineken International. From his early days at Kumasi Brewery to his tenure as managing director of Ghana Breweries, he's left his mark on the industry. In addition to his employment at UAC International, Unilever, and Heineken, Mr. Benjamin has also held pivotal roles in national policy initiatives and programs. He has been the Chief Executive and Director of the MDA, Millennium Development Authority, which saw him implement Ghana's MCC, the Millennium Challenge Program, driving transformative change in sectors vital to Ghana's development. And in fact, he's going to share this evening his experiences working with MCC, working with engineers. So I think, for lack of better words, he's our best non-engineer engineer. He continues to contribute his expertise and leadership to several organizations. He's the chairman of Enterprise Insurance Company, director of Enterprise Group, director of CFA Ghana, member of the ORID Advisory Committee, and chairman of the Elmina Development Foundation, among others. He's held numerous board appointments, including chairman of Multimedia, chairman of Ghana Agro Foods, director of EcoBank Ghana, just to name a few. Equally, he's been named Marketing Man of the Year by the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana. He's received the National Award of the Order of the Volta, officer to receive Tourism Personality of the Year by the Ghana Tourist Board. So really impressive list of accomplishments today. In addition to his professional accomplishments, Mr. Isom Benjamin is a devoted family man with 3 children and is actively engaged in philanthropic endeavors, including serving as the chairman of the Elmina Development Foundation. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Martin Isom Benjamin, who is a true icon of leadership, innovation, and dedication to excellence. So Martin, you're welcome. He's going to come and tell us about his experiences working with engineers. So we are all ears.
Please sit down. Kindly sit. Thank you very much, Engineer Aoche, for the introduction. I think it's a very easygoing environment, so I'm not going to panic. But first, let me acknowledge the presence of the president and the members of the institution and those online, and other invited guests who are here. And not forgetting my wife, who is at the back, Elizabeth, who is coming to give me moral support. Generally, I was uneasy when I was asked to come here. There's something called a bull in the China shop. You know, you just walk into the den, before the Sahedrin, to answer questions and, see whatever you see will be taken against you. So I'm going to be very careful. So I was uneasy when I was asked to come here to reminisce. That's what just to reminisce about my association of engineers who supported work on the Millennium Development Authority program and worked with me at Lever Brothers and in the breweries. I was privileged to lead MIDA for a number of years from 2007, and I left in 2023. So you can calculate the number of years I worked for MIDA. The projects we managed benefited from a large variety of engineering inputs. The question was whether I paid enough attention to these engineers, because they were all over the place and sometimes you take them for granted. Luckily, I did not do that. But now, as I stand here, I'm required to recount aspects of my formal engagements with them. So I have to do some homework. That looked like a challenge to me, but here we go. So what type of engineers did I work with? My work with engineers goes beyond my association with MIDA. In my many years working career, I can recall the very productive engagement with a number of specialized engineers across disciplines such as environment, marine, safety, geodetic, civil, and structural, municipal, and urban. The list could also include my discussions and my interactions with mechanical, electrical, electronic, chemical, process engineers, materials and utilities, supply chain, and a few other specialist areas of engineering practice. Having said that, I want at this stage to thank the President, the Chairman, the Executive Director of Ghana Institution of Engineering, and in particular, the technical divisions of the institutions who organized this event and who have invited me here to receive this honor. However, without running the risk of reaping where I have not sown, I would like to consider me as an outsider looking into the contributions of engineering and what more it can do to move our country forward. And I want to thank you for accepting this proviso that I've put in. I am only charging into a place where I have to work very carefully. Mr. Chairman, the institution recently held its 54th annual general meeting and conference on the theme Engineering a Resilient Future, Innovative Solutions for Sustainable Ghana. This theme is apt, and I applaud your leadership for the choice of this subject matter. I trust that the latest developments and advancements in science, technology, engineering, in ICT, artificial intelligence, digital technology, nanotechnology, and the imperatives for alternative energies that could be applied to elevate our country were all discussed a few weeks ago. Tonight, I'll be reminiscing about my work with engineers and any other expectations, with examples from the breweries, Lever Brothers in the private sector, and from MIDA in the public sector. After these discussions, I'll be very careful to restrict my remarks to my personal observations on engineering applications that sustain projects and support industries, and also uplift the welfare of the people and society in Ghana. I see engineering as a catalyst for development. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, engineers and engineering play a complex role in society. Your profession serves as a strong catalyst for advancement in technology, social engineering, and national development. It provides a roadmap and the insurance for a sustainable growth, thereby transforming the environment for the betterment of life. There's, however, a very little chance for these ideas to be realized unless the technical means are created by engineering and these are integrated towards a common global purpose. We are often tempted to restrict nation building to the affairs of the government, policymakers, traditional authorities, politicians, and what have you. Government only needs to facilitate the relations and leverage all contributions towards the prosecution of its agenda for development. It is in this light that I will stretch my observations to include some suggestions on how the Ghana Institution of Engineering, and by extension, engineers, can introspect and play special roles in economic development, improving social welfare, and advancing the development of the nation as a whole. What are my understandings and expectations? First, as expectedly, I will look at the Singapore experience as my preamble to all the discussions today. My experiences have deepened my appreciation of the vital role of engineers in industry. I do not have to look far for a supportive example of how important engineers are. Singapore's success story offered itself as the point of reference. From his book, 30 Years, 100 Stories, Engineering Accomplishments in Singapore, as told by the Nanyang Technological Institute, the pioneer engineering class of 1985. A Singaporean scholar, Fook Thim, provides the following summaries. Engineers are important assets of a nation. They have the skills and abilities required in nation building. They create wealth by putting in place the infrastructure for economic development. Their work impacts the socioeconomic well-being of a nation. Their efforts touch the lives of people at home, at work, and at play, past, present, and future. He still goes on to say that engineers play a vital role in nation building. Since independence, they have been driving Singapore's efforts in industrialization. Their vision, creativity, and resilience gave Singapore a competitive edge, enabling a meteoric rise from third world to first world in one generation. Going forward, the government wants to make Singapore a smart nation, a nation where people live meaningful and fulfilled lives, enabled seamlessly by technology, offering exciting opportunities for all. Engineers are vital in making all these things happen, unquote. This is a very positive testimonial to engineers and engineering practices. Our governments, supported by Ghana Institution of Engineering and related associations, ought to be encouraged by the example of Singapore, given its phenomenal and sustainable development trajectory relative to our status at the time of independence in 1957. Engineering to sustain the benefits of society. Mr. Chairman, Fukthim continues to say that no nation, past or present, advances beyond its engineering sophistication. So no nation advances beyond its engineering sophistication. If your engineering is not sophisticated, you stay there at the bottom. But if it's sophisticated, you advance. So we talk of nation building in terms of engineering output, roads, bridges, buildings, power networks, telecommunications, factories, etc. So I, being encouraged by these quotations from them, I'll now recount some of the experiences from my association with various engineers on the Ghana's Millennium Challenge Compact Program 1 and 2, and my experiences in the breweries and the Lever Brothers division of Unilever, where business growth and improvement in customer, staff welfare, and shareholder values are major goals. The compact projects funded by the US government, implemented by MIDA, were defined as strategic initiatives intended to fill some of Ghana's infrastructural gaps and erect strong pillars to carry the weight of additional layers of Ghana's infrastructural needs in the agriculture and power sectors. The goal of both compacts, poverty reduction through economic growth, was consistent with Ghana's strategy for economic growth and power reduction. And the carefully selected project activities were to serve as eye-openers to what engineering, science, and technology-led projects could do for Ghana. Compact projects were highly reliant on rigorous engineering inputs. On every infrastructural project, a project management consultant, usually an engineer, or a supervising engineer, played a key role leading to the charge as contract manager. They served in the capacity of private consultants or worked for a private contractor. They made inputs into tender documents, the definition of terms of reference in project design. They helped to review and approve technical standards and measures, reviewed work plans, budgets, and engineers' estimates. Before a project is closed, it was this project manager, supervising engineer, and contractors who jointly inspected a snag list and worked on any defects to ensure that a worthy and sustainable legacy is in place, providing assurance of the expected outcomes over the project's lifeline. In all things, the MCC technical teams, many engineers, ensured that the project implementation guidelines were rigidly complied with in order to leave the MCC effect as a legacy post-compact. MCC effect is the way things must be done globally. I mean, the standards were high, and that's what they wanted us to replicate. At all times, MEDA's engineers were also on hand to represent MEDA in her interactions with the project management consultant, who, as I said, usually doubles as the supervising engineer, with implementing entities and regulatory bodies, contractors, and in several engagements with MCC's technical teams and the general public. I will recall at this stage the hardworking teams of very able Ghanaian engineers, namely Quentin York, Samuel Asare-Danso, Julius Kwekpena, William Amuna, and the rest of them. There were also many supervising engineers, both local and foreign consultants. And as expected, engineers from Ghana Water Company, GRIDCO, and ECG were attached to each project. As members, they represent these institutions' ideals, maintained her standards, and kept her flag flying. These well-knit teams provided invaluable guidance to management and oiled the wheel of progress. As administrators of these projects, management, like me, were only assigned to the role of conductors of an engineering orchestra. Everything was being played by the engineers, and we only conducted the orchestra. Regrettably, I did not come across representatives of this institution, of the related regulators, or even students from universities visiting the project sites to familiarize with the work that we're doing. We miss them. Similarly, in the breweries and in Lever Brothers, where I was privileged to serve for a total of 28 years, technical teams led by the brewery manager or the technical director and comprising, as I said, mechanical, electrical, chemical, and process and maintenance engineers were alert, highly visible, and effective in their contributions to operational efficiencies, employee productivity, and improvements in the bottom line. These took center stage and worked in a coordinated manner to apply their skills. They supported product development and perfected process engineering activities. In these businesses, these inputs into beer brewing, storage, and bottling, or even into the fractionation, bleaching, and deodorizing of oils, and the production of a variety of food, household, and personal products were visible, amazing, and well appreciated. The engineers collaborated well with their external technical counterparts in Heineken or Unilever. They were the bedrock of our successes. Under their watch and ingenuity, planned maintenance timelines were strictly followed. This involved routine, annual, periodic, massive production line overhauls, which kept plant equipment running efficiently. They replaced worn and defective parts with locally machined substitutes. They went as far as to magazine to get this done. And this was one of the stock in trade. And we had to applaud them. Waste and losses in raw and packaging materials, in the use of water, in the use of steam and power were sequentially reduced, enabling our operations to meet international benchmarks. I recall them lifting water lines above the ground, installing boundary meters to account for town water receipts and usage, recycling wastewater for cleaning and watering purposes, relogging steam lines carrying steam carrying pipes to cut losses and save on power utilization. Introducing stainless steel pipes in place of mild steel or galvanized steel pipes, besides regular checks on water and electricity usage in all other departments. Boiler maintenance was not spared. You recall that at this time when we're doing all these things, ICT was not seriously in vogue. So everything that we're doing was literally manpower, isn't it? Mechanical, but they achieved results which were extraordinary. So these timely interventions by engineers enabled volume targets in production and sales to be met. Customers were satisfied with quality and safe products, and our market leadership were maintained. They contributed to the bottom line and enabled both companies to improve shareholder values and pay dividends and bonuses. It was great to see them stay awake, to see the year 2000 go past without the fearful predictions of disaster that could befall the business. I remember very well on that 31st night, we spent the whole night in the brewery, and the engineers were there in force and literally counting to make sure that no equipment failed, because they were told that by midnight 2000, there will be a disaster. And they were there to safeguard it. The engineers' input were also central to the translation of the outcomes on consumer market research and sales and marketing briefs into successful brands. You'll be surprised that they sat in, listened to market research, and gave us, pointed us to things that they could change in the factory to be able to achieve certain. I'll give you an example. We used to have a soap which called Zest, which was very good, and it was taking over the market. It was beating us to a pulp. And we realized that if we don't do anything, so we told the engineers said, look, we could try and see how they do it. And lo and behold, they came out of Rexona Lime Fresh, and it was as good or even better than Zest. And we took them out. The same thing was Frytol. Dino, if you know, King's Oil, all over the place. And engineers took local palm oil, fractionated, deodorized, and before we could say Jack, we launched Frytol, and Dino and Kings went to sleep. But these were technical things. You may take them for granted. We wanted to bring something called Planta in place of importing butter or bluebell margarine, which people didn't like. They blended, they whipped, they came. It might look very easy, but on a bigger scale, to do it on a sustainable basis, it was the engineers who came and comforted us and told us it can be done. And they did it. So we applaud them. These are fantastic guys. So in the breweries, I will mention a few names. Many of them, unfortunately, deceased. Kujo Fojo, engineer, Samuel Barnes, Stalin Fraser, engineer Minsa Puku, Abel Kwansa, and the rest of them. These guys were almost sleeping in the brewery. Though they are not openly celebrated, these engineers made things work so seamlessly, and therefore we owe them a debt of gratitude to these quiet operators. And I owe them because as marketing director, my access to the market is good products and availability and volume and rest of it. So once the lines are working and the product quality is good, I can also hit the market. And these were the guys who were giving me, but they were going unnoticed. They were just in the factory all the time, and we took them for granted many times. Mr. Chairman, if engineers are to massively influence Ghana's development agenda, then every Ghanaian engineer's commitment to excellence and their know-how must equally characterize any of the projects funded by government, by development partners, and by private investors. It's not only Lever Brothers and breweries and a private IPP where people must work and shine. We have to almost the new leadership and involvement in projects must be seen in the planning of all public projects. In Singapore and Japan, the government looked very closely, they worked very closely with the country's engineering professionals. The results are evident over one generation. It is our turn now, as your theme neatly captures. I know that there will be politics, and therefore we could say that the avenue operations were different because they allowed to breathe and do things. But can we continue like this forever? Somebody must start plodding and pushing and putting his face through the door so that somebody will listen. By all means, somebody will listen. I'm hopeful that going forward, the thrust of this institution's relation building activities will aim to pull all plugs and ensure that government recognizes your capability and pivotal role and aligns with your institution to build resilient societies, as was done in Singapore and Japan. Let me now do some few. Mr. Chairman, role in critical development initiatives, namely road construction, infrastructure, power, electricity, and manufacturing. These are areas where they cut across my experience. Even as your institution embraces all types of engineers, to many, the key indicators for engineering contributions appear to be only those outputs related to physical infrastructure. That's what people see. They know that they did a road, they built a, they don't see the working parts at the bottom, which they can attribute to engineers. To the larger public, ICT, major technical-driven industries are already engineered activities that will continue to come to us from elsewhere for adoption, and that some foreigners will always be on hand to undertake major engineering roles, relying on locals to support in joint venture partnerships. Engineers must help us to disagree with this position as Ghana strategizes to take the commanding heights in national development. First, let me talk about engineering on the road construction. Mr. Chairman, it has been said that the roads lead to development. It's for this reason that our roads must be constructed on the watchful eyes of the Ministry of Roads and Highways and its departments, the Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads, and Department of Feeder Roads, all led and run by qualified professionals with engineers in the majority. These have had a hand in reviewing and approving the design, costing, selecting contractors, etc. To meet some of Ghana's road needs, MEDA undertook the transportation infrastructure development activity under Compact 1. This involved a number of road upgrading and rehabilitation projects, including the 13.7-kilometer 3-lane dual carriageway on the N1 highway, the 75.2-kilometer Agogo Free Straight Domi trunk road that cut across the Afram Plains, 357 kilometers of feeder roads in the North, Volta, and the East and Central regions, all 68% of which, though they were feeder roads, were all tarred. In my 36 months interaction with engineers on these projects, I was privileged to participate in kickoff meetings, site meetings, project reviews, material testing, project site inspections, and the rest of it. I was embedded in the teams, and therefore I saw everything that they were doing. As the first wholly urban-based road network undertaken by any MCC compact across the globe, the construction of the highly congested section of the N1 highway as a pilot project was very challenging. Ghana was selected to pilot it. It hadn't been in all the 22 countries that then had compacts. But they said, if Ghana can do it, then others should also follow. And the engineers were there to help. This 3-lane dual carriageway plus interchanges, but there are going to have been 6 interchanges, but we did only 2, the Dimples and the one at Malab. But there were others in Kwashima and other places. Pedestrian bridges, we had 4 permanent in place, and we're supposed to add 6 to them. These were to facilitate faster access of farm produce to our airports and seaports. The whole N1's business was to help farmers, because it's an agricultural program, to bring things to the harbor with the least 4 hours sunlight before it reaches the harbor. It's already cooked, so that it can't get to it's Europe. So you needed to do a swift traverse of motorway of the road, and therefore they had to put that road in as one of the things that we should do to help agriculture. It was designed and supervised by Indian consultants working with their Ghanaian joint venture partners, Messrs. Ban Consult. Designs were thoroughly reviewed by MCC's venture partners MCC's consultants who were British. So I'm trying to lead you to the type of engineers we work for. The Indians, then Ghanaian as a joint venture partner, then Jacobs of UK as MCC's engineers, and approved by Ghana Highway Authority engineers so that they can embed it in Ghana. Construction of Lot 1 and 2 were undertaken by Chinese, China Railway Wuju, and a Portuguese company. So it was a complete what do you call it? United States. And the people who looked after our accounts were Germans. Yeah, okay. So GHA is the owner of the road, with MIDA as the accountable entity. For us, we are the shuttlecock, going to all those people and coming back to report what is happening. There were 3 Ghanaian contractors who relocated water pipelines, telecom cables, and the electricity towers. So these were also moving them off the road. At the same time, we were also trying to remove all the people who were on the road. And we still had time to catch, because we needed to do this in 36 months. And everybody must work to be able to, otherwise we lose the funding. So the RAP was completed. You know, those people who knew the road, there were so many car dealers, so many all over the place, and we needed to move them. Then bitumen prices increased from $58 a barrel to $141 a barrel. So by the time we were trying to do the asphalt, we were buying bitumen at 141 cedis, dollars, not cedis. And then the supply source of the bitumen was only one place, because it's a modified bitumen. It's not the old type where, you know, so this was the first time in Ghana that we're pouring modified bitumen on the road. And then there was anticipated rise in cost of almost everything, cement, blah, 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 everything. So it affected the project. But then it meant regular meetings, visits to the trade, discussions, engineers always going and coming quietly. At the end of the day, the road was done. We met a timeline. It was very challenging, and the project was completed in time and was rated as very successful by Millennium Challenge Corporation. But during the handing over ceremony some 12 years ago, MIDA and MCC were assured that Ghana government agencies will undertake any additional projects and maintenance works to safeguard the investment. You've done it, it's lying there, beautiful. So the next thing is that this is where we start, the blocks start collapsing. Indeed, the N1 highway segments was to be provided with first-class road furniture. I mean, you know what road furniture is, all the things that we need, lights, barriers, blah, blah, blah. And maintained in an excellent condition at all times. We need road sweepers, that machine that sweeps. So that almost every day, if you don't water it, you are sweeping and you are desilting. So that water doesn't stay on because water, as somebody says, water, then the road is gone. So this was, unfortunately, from my observations, the undertaking has not been dutifully complied with. I blame the GHA and metro and municipal engineers, particularly if they are members of this institution. Because if they are, then they should bow their heads in shame. Because some of the things we use, the sweepers, are not extraordinary. One sweeper can do the road every 2 weeks, go up, down, clean the road surfaces. But has anybody seen a road sweeper in Ghana in recent times? Okay. But I thought it was an engineering feat and people would understand it. Every road project properly designed, adequately funded, and efficiently contracted must serve its estimated lifespan. Too often, Contractors complete their work on roads and leave the fate of the new roads hanging due to poor quality of work. They don't even want their names to be associated. They don't even put a site, a board which indicates which contractor is working on the road. But the road is finished and everybody vanishes. And the poor quality is left to stare at everybody. While knowledgeable technicians, engineers as they may be, who worked with them, move on to do other projects because they have accomplished and they write it down that they did in their books. But at the end of the day, the pity is that many technically competent persons drive on these roads, they see nothing and they say nothing. The masses complain and government officials are blamed. The engineer who failed to honor his side of the social contract and thereby enhance the society's living standards walks free with no sanction. Government then looks for funds to rectify the road, to put an end to this sloppiness. It will be appropriate for your institution to have a position on such matters. Second case, my observation of building. The quality of many public and private buildings has seen significant improvement in their design, the quality of material inputs, and even the construction. It's a fact that engineers, local and foreign, have a hand in this and must be commended. Now you go around, you see a lot of nice houses, plastered houses. I don't know what happened before it was plastered, but at least they plastered nicely. But maybe they used the wrong thing. I'll tell you, I went to a village and they were doing pillars for schools. And the contract says a pillar is 4 square, 4 iron rods, and then they are all bound. Then you go there, they put this wire bolts, and they put the iron rods in it, and it's triangle. And instead of using a 5/8, whatever is equipment, iron rods, what they are using is like a binding wire, you know. and the guy has 9 contracts to build schools, and he has an engineer supervisor. He has a contractor who says, you know, his background indicates that he knows enough about building and building technology. The roof material, you could squeeze it, and you can the gauge, instead of maybe whatever gauge, they've used the cheapest gauge. The wood members that are used for the rafters, they all have the back, you know, of the in there. And they just thought that nobody will come because they've managed to keep everybody, nobody goes. And I'm not saying for only self, I can even blame my own managers. But if you go there, you wonder, so what motivated you to accept this contraption? But it was going to go. Blocks are made with pampan, you know, this, and it's all earth. You know, it's earth. So if you don't go there and you don't see it, by the time you come, they put it up and they plastered it. But if you were there when I went to Karaga, you stamp on a block and it pulverizes and everything is gone. I mean, I'm just saying that these are just little things which are painfully not in order. And I think somebody must look at these things critically. Oh, thank you. My interaction with engineers working on public buildings spanned so many years, 2007 to 2022. So I've been a contractor for quite a long time. We constructed 220 new primary schools, rehabilitated 30 others in 31 districts. MEDA built 3 post-harvest infrastructure for mango and pineapple. We built 10 1,000-ton capacity agri-business centers, replete with the required equipment, a perishable cargo handling center at KIA, Kotoka International Airport, 3 public park houses, a cane and rattan weaving center in Accra. We refurbished 10 courts. If we say refurbished, we really actually rebuilt them. These were built because we were working on land. If you are agriculture, you need land to do agriculture. So because land litigation was too much, we needed special courts that will sit. And so we had to build 10 courts. We built 3 land title registration centers, Winneba, in Savalugu, and 1 in Hokrom. So that in Ghana, you can map and do the cadastral maps and rest of it so the farmer can have access to land without the necessary litigation. They go, you need to build, if you don't have a place, you need to build a convenient, nice bungalow. And we did that because we want to hand it over to the district assemblies so they can use them for offices and built 16 3-bed flats for the Ghana Armed Forces. Because we were going to pass some pipes, or we were going to put a substation on the island. We went to, because of quality and standards, we had to go to the Ghana Standards Authority and build for them the first time in Ghana an AC and refrigeration test center, which is the only one in West Africa. And this one is the most modern type. So this was also built for them. Then in addition, the bulk supply points and the substations of connecting lines. And professional we work with organizations. I mean, I'm talking about the project management team. Well, I look at boys, but as soon as they came, they changed. I mean, well, the motivation tells maybe they are better paid. Let me get a point. But you can't falter. Mr. Muna is sitting here. You don't go there for a joke, because you are working to showcase Ghana to the Americans, to say that we deserve their taxpayers' money, and we did the right things with them. Because there's so much money come to Ghana, they may not be put to proper use. So it was a challenge, and we're going to do this to showcase them that we could do it. And this is what we think was laying the foundation for replication, so that everybody can start using the MCC effect and say this is how things should be done. Unfortunately, I've often heard negative comments about public infrastructure, and I've seen some for myself. Quality was poor, even as the cost was prohibitive. Built a school, $110,000. Next door, the same 6-classroom block, without ceiling, without wiring, was costing $175,000. I mean, in the same vicinity. So we were built in hours, and so we don't go on. So it's an unfortunate national challenge. But I'm saying all these things because in all these, there is a finger of an engineer somewhere in it. And I'm trying to allude to that. Some of these lowly but negative shortcomings could be attributed to inadequacy of funding, true. But sometimes the money is there. Asynchronous, I've just told you. Graft, official inefficiency, they don't visit. They don't go, nobody, when they go there, they just go for the cameras. And that's it. Political influences, where you have to stretch a road to reach a village, even though it was originally supposed to be 10 kilometers. The minister somebody is come to tell you that try and reach the next village, and because when they see that we've ended here, it'll be a problem. So the same money will go. So the road will not be done well, and building will not be done properly. It's not rocket science. So quality was poor even at the time that cost was prohibitive. This is an unfortunate national challenge which has gone for far too long. Some of these negatives, as I've said, may be attributed to. But the question I ask is, who in Ghana acts as the quality controller for the state in terms of identifying and showcasing poor works? Who? If we go past things and they are badly done, it's very badly done, and you just go away. If somebody is building a house for 50 years and is sitting in the middle of Accra and he has not finished it, and is sitting in a very prime area and nobody touches it, and I wonder, so who is supposed to be in charge of this? Why is it an eyesore for 50 years or 30 years? Is there no organization or no institution which can call the person and say, look, we are this thing will be auctioned to those who want to build it, so that Ghana would move forward? But if we have that type of structure sitting in airport city for about 6 of them, you imagine the image it gives to us. So who undertakes the competitive benchmarking of proposed costs and provides the technical inputs for competitive scoping of work? Who? Okay, you can say that GHA led by who? Engineers. Because if you're not an engineer, really, you can be an administrator there, but you should be knowledgeable about what goes into it. So surely to spearhead these things is a challenge. Ghana Institution of Engineering must have the money if they want to be involved. They must have something to be able to intervene effectively. I can hear you saying that you have no mandate. It's not nobody. It's not a mandate. It's not your direct responsibility. There is a contract in place. Funds are not available. The contractor, we know him. He's facing challenges. So what? So the whole system doesn't hang on anybody's neck. If the minister who gave the contract who can go and stop it, but if he stops it, sometimes he doesn't have the next mindset to do what the next thing should happen. So it continues. A soft solution for me could be for the GHA and its committees and associated groups available to work closely with the leaders of private firms, contractors, to get them to understand. Your periodic seminars, brainstorming sessions, training sessions involving other associations could be helpful. It was also observed that arrangement to safeguard the loss of power in ECG was a problem. So therefore, we also went in to do some work with ECG. And I was privileged to work closely with many local and foreign engineers on the power sector reform, a very challenging sector in the economy. It was observed that the arrangement is saying that the loss of power purchased in this utility, which is highly engineered, were neither inadequate nor fully pursued. The arrangements were not adequate. We don't want to put ECG on the carpet here, but it was observed that the arrangement to safeguard the loss of purchase power in this highly engineered utility were neither adequate nor fully pursued. MEDA worked with ECG engineers and the energy sector regulators on projects to construct and refurbish networks in order to minimize technical and commercial losses. There was evidence that networks had degraded as regular scheduled maintenance work had not been complied with. For example, in the low voltage bifurcation networks improvement project, MEDA observed low quality and substandard cables that served as service connections, low capacity ring main units, overloaded transformers, and low voltage feeders, long delays in the replacement of conductors, glaring absence of insulated stay wires, widely spaced wooden poles leading to power losses, absence of boundary meters to account for transmitted and distributed power, a large variety of assorted meters, each with its own quality. Sometimes factory acceptance tests might not be as done rigidly as we are expecting. The media team reviewed the lapses and designated them as technical, financial, and professional challenges. confronting the utility. Consumers at all levels consequently suffered. The question is, while the ship was sinking, the managers were left to grapple with their challenges on their own. Mr. Chairman, while I consider the institution as the probable go-to institution in terms of reviews and advice on solutions to challenges, thus the institution offers consultancy services. Again, in support of national development, can the institution propose to unconditionally conduct periodic reviews of standard operating procedures, albeit with the help of the regulator and other institutions, all aimed at creating smarter workplaces and enhancing public welfare in Ghana? Any such inputs from a body of knowledge like this institution are not intended to usurp the Ministry of or ECG's board and management team's responsibilities. They only help to determine the nature of the challenges, add value, and close the gaps posed by inefficient technical practices. Interestingly, I guess that majority of the officers who this institution will relate to, in most cases, are your members and from our universities and colleges. They should heed your advice and not let their side down. As I wind down, let me talk fourthly about collaborating with big tech companies. Ladies and gentlemen, in this era of rapid global transformation, big, positive, and enduring ideas matter. 67 years after independence, the dialogue on Ghana's development must promptly shift from piecemeal government plan and ad hoc policies to strategic moves which gain support of your members and undergirds sustainable investments. How does the institution's excellent knowledge base, and I can say that if 1,000 members and everybody has 10 years experience, you multiply 1,000 by 10 is how much? 10,000 years of engineering experience, various types. So if you have 10,000, if it's true, I stood before you, I said 10,000 years, there's nothing, I know, as a priest, a bishop, archbishop, I should know every verse in the Bible. So if you have 10,000 years experience, you should know everything. This is the critical mass we're talking about. This is the mass that must make a difference. If we're going to be flat and stable, as we've been all the time, and minding our own and staying in our own corner, great. But we are not competitive, we'll be left behind. If this institution does not aggressively contribute to and strategize to lead Ghana's technology and information, others will come to do it for us. The Chinese, they may have the money, they're deep pockets. All manner of people are going to descend on Ghana. And in the long run, Ghanaians will have to go as partners, joint venture partners, the junior joint venture partners who have 10,000 years of experience vis-a-vis a young guy from Korea who has only 9 years experience. But he comes with deep pockets and we have to latch onto him. So it may not be a bad idea for them to come and help us, but let it come from Ghanaian engineers. An unfailing annual contribution of technological ideas from Ghana, this institution, to government at budget time may be helpful. I believe they are done by some other sectors of the economy. I do not know, I'm not a member, whether every year before the budget, the institution comes together, brainstorm, and say this year, let's put this before government that this is what we think we should at least do. It's possible, it's doable. I may be talking like a naive individual, but I just wanted to know whether there's anything of this nature done. When you are picking low-hanging goodies, it's fine, but major and sustainable engineering practices fundamental to addressing the challenges of our time. Let me propose for your consideration some ideas which engineers could lead in order to promote and support beneficial technological development. First, I'm talking about the foundry project. I'm told that a foundry is as important for development as anything else. A foundry. To push up our manufacturing base, we need foundry to do all the, what do you call them? The molds and so to replace imports of spare parts and to boost domestic production, the status of the state-owned foundry at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission must be reviewed and put to use to manufacture engineering tools and inputs for our industries and for other local and sub-regional markets. It's possible that it's lying there and nobody is interested. And it's a fundamental tool to making a change. When I was in the brewery, we used to go to machine house, a machine house in the, what do you call it, magazine. And they will machine a part. But then somebody said, look, this, if you have a foundry, they will just go there and they will cast it for you. Secondly, we produced 2 ferries. So many years after independence, the first 2 ferries that were produced in Ghana were produced by Mida. And they were produced at Akosombo because we built the floating dock. I think VRA has it, but we went and we asked the Arab contractors to come and refurbish it. And they used it to produce from scratch 2 ferries that are currently running at Adoso, a chairman from, and then one at so at the Bui, no. Dambai. So we produce them. In Ghana, many areas need ferries because you can't go by road. You have to build a bridge, but ferries can do it. Many of the very ferries need to be retrofitted. Many of them need to be repaired. Many of them. It's a big industry. The shipyards don't do it. And the shipyard, I don't know whether it still exists. But this Akosombo thing is lying there. And I am saying that our rivers need ferries. And besides, many ferries are badly in need of retrofitting and repairs. Is this an initiative that GIE can look at? Then the other things like Netherlands. Today we're talking about floods. They are constrained by their topography. So they have mastered the engineering of dams to prevent flooding. We should be aggressively seeking to employ similar solutions to address. Secondly, in the Middle East, one can find the greenest roadsides. They recognize their challenges, and their landscape engineers have identified what works for their peculiar environmental challenges and deployed innovative solutions to address them. Thirdly, the strategy towards water for all in Ghana by the year 2040, I put the year 2040, must be part of this institution's vision. Fresh water for domestic consumption, for agric and all year-round uses goes to waste every day from the Volta into the sea. Every day they pour into the sea. Can this institution take a cue from this and push our government to institute policies to get fresh water to all? Maybe we can assist with ideas of Ghana Water Company. This calls for a seminar which will bring all ideas together and they'll be put at the table. If government say they won't do it, that's a different. The institution must showcase its ability to bring ideas to government. And at least you can keep warming it and warming. One day too soon, somebody will pick it up. Thirdly, I think that this institution should have the voice. Personally, when I was doing this, and I got very confused. I don't know whether it's an institute or institution of engineers or institution of engineering. You know, I mean, the whole name was, you know, I didn't look at it closely. So later on, I realized that Ghana Institution of Engineering instead of Ghana Institute of Engineers. You know, I mean, you have to start from that angle of public change. So, as the centerpiece of the profession, you need to have a louder voice on the quality and impact of engineering projects. The private medical association did through their visibility in seeking solutions during COVID-19 pandemic. Everybody in Ghana knew that it was the work of Ghana Medical Association and the doctors and the rest of the scientists to find a solution to COVID. Their name was all over the place. But in Ghana now, if there are floods, today I learned that you talked about flood, but if there are floods, you wonder who to talk to, because not that they should come and do it, but at least somebody must be moving a flag saying that, look at me. Then, so how can the public and stakeholders be assured that you are the professionals? Then, to end, I must say that you need to have an annual state of the engineering status report. I mean, something that you hold a press conference, a big seminar, and say, look, this is Ghana. When we look at everything, this is the annual state of engineering status for Ghana in 2023. To offer some assurances to the concern of the ordinary man on the street that a lot of things are being done. And this enables the institution's good works and intended contributions to be recognized. Mr. President, yours is a non-political, autonomous institution comparable to institutions in developed countries. There's no difference between you and anybody. I admit that members have their own businesses to mind. However, our country also has many pressing social needs. Similar groups have contributions to make. Each contribution is equally important, but yours is complete, all-encompassing, and the most important. You have set yourself up as in the forefront of engineering. I mean, you want to champion it, and your name should be there. It's not, nobody asked you to set it up. But if it's up, then it must be relevant in one form or the other. Thankfully, I stand before a collection of the best engineers in this country. The question is, do we have the capacity to influence public policy and commit to Singapore's or any relevant pathways to national development? I hope that you have decided on a direction after discussions on your theme a few weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I've throughout this talk offered some suggestions to emphasize the likely impact of the institution and its contributions towards building an engineering nation. I will also urge you to consider the following: brighten your corner. Natural resources on their own do not develop a nation. Over generations, in our time, engineers have proven to be the progenitors of industrialization and technological progress. Initiate and sustain arrangements to work together with leaders of business and policy drivers to constantly direct their attention to socio-technological problems and to develop a sense of employing engineering and technology as a major and essential component of their preparation. Drive a culture of excellence. Amplify, promote, and reward excellence in innovations and the application of best practices. Based on your own regular annual audits, seek to publicize the best of engineering outputs. Nobel Peace Prize is publicizing good things that people do. In Ghana, one time ago, I wanted to bring in the Star Prize, based on Star Beer, so Star Prize for achievement. And, before then I had to leave the brewery, so it died. But we need a motivator, something that every year, I know you may have doing it within this room among yourselves. So you're all sitting there and working in silos. Nobody hears anybody, but when you finish, you are an institution. I think we need to base on your regular and annual audits. You need to seek to publish the best of engineering outputs. You cannot do this, I believe, through the annual awards. The additional request that coming from me is to make these outcomes impactful and the flagship event on the nation's recognition and awards calendar. We should have some awards for people who have done well. Be competitive and proactively promote national engineering standards. Do we have standards? If we see a gantry sign on the road and the type of lettering and the rest on it, and you go to Europe and you drive in America and you see a sign telling you that you are going to turn left, 50, 100 yards away from you. Do we see it on our roads? You can't. And it's not is taken away. Okay, the thieves will do their way, but but I'm just talking about we need to have a font, a system, something that is replicated. It's all green. In Europe, it's green and white, but here we use blue. Blue is already darkish. You put the figures small on it, and you can't see. So before you could say Jack, you've gone past your 10. And it's something, look of you, it's not a big deal, So let's promote national engineering standards through the pursuit of globally endorsed engineering standards. Bringing them, going on the internet and seeing that this is how it's done elsewhere, replicate it. This one is difficult. I don't understand it, but there should be something that can transfer to Ghana for all engineering and technical projects, so that we insist on the best at all times. The engineering authority can say that, look, yesterday we had a press conference. We are asking Ghana High Authority to remove those signs they are put there because they are not fit for purpose. But who else can say it? If a minister doesn't say it, I don't think anybody can. There are many important engineering solutions to pick from. But how do you strongly localize your collective knowledge? I see no reason why the Ghana Institute of Engineers should not be able to present, even if pro bono, special environmental engineering solutions in commemoration of some anniversary in Ghana. 50 years of independence, 60 years of independence, 65 years of independence. What did the institution contribute? Even if it's just what do you call it? Something, and actually, if you are going to where the presidency is, the road sites, the college, maybe it's drawn, and if they don't do it, at least you are presented to Ghanaians that this is what Ghana must look like. But GIA is the aggregator of inputs, innovation, and technology. Simulate the harmonization of the strength of your members with Energy Commission, CSIR, AGI, AESL, Chamber of Mines, the Universities, Polytechnics. Some sponsors work with second cycle institutions to showcase talent and engineering solutions. Amplify this. Think about your support for MMDAs, urban planners, to review, design, and work on some. I know that you all have your work to do, but if we're going to call them here and have a meeting with them every 6 months so that we can share ideas and move forward, even once a year, it might help. Then training and retraining. The engineers need to be trained, and I'm sure you do your own training internally here. Industries should also make provision for retraining of engineers, while the provision of simulators and AI tools to aid training will be beneficial to engineers. They need to see it, because it's not everybody who's going to do a postgraduate degree again. The retraining should also include GIA proactive engagement with industry and state agencies to develop internships and apprenticeships programs, which will inculcate the culture of excellence in the practical application of engineering students. GIA should work with industry and the universities for students to have internship. When I was in MEDA, the ladies, the women in energy, women in engineering, wine, they bonded with us and they were doing internships, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was just laudable. I don't know what has happened to it, but we did it for about 4 years, and it was fantastic. The girls were getting incrementally interested, and some were getting jobs. I mean, being taken to go and work for some of the contractors and rest. I think this thing, if some group is behind it, it helps. Then I can see that everybody is sapped. Let me conclude. Some of the issues I have touched on may not be big ticket items, but their solutions are still awaited. The institution is only a partner in progress. Until engineering is prepared to assume great leadership, it will remain a most honorable and skillful profession, but it will renounce its legitimate role as a splendid manifestation of humankind. Their will to control is destiny. This is a quotation from one American gentleman, Buri Alelo. Until engineering is prepared to assume greater leadership, it will remain a most honorable and skillful profession. It will remain, but it will renounce the legitimate role as a splendid manifestation of humankind's will to control its destiny. Everybody, all the readings, everybody is talking engineering to re-engineer the world. Everybody. And unfortunately or fortunately, you are called engineers. So the re-engineering of the world lies on your laps. Let me thank you all once again for allowing me into your space to talk for so long, to share my experiences and opinions on what members and the institution may contribute to and leave as legacies that will endure to ensure a well-developed, a self-reliant and successful country. I salute you for your contributions in the past. Certainly, you've done a lot of good work. There is still so much to be done. In whatever you do, therefore, let your work, interventions, and solutions be visible, be impactful, and celebrated by the people of Ghana and even beyond. Be competitive and brighten your corner. As I say goodbye, I shall leave you to ponder over a famous prayer by Sir Francis Drake. O Lord God, when thou givest to thy servants to endeavor any great matter, grant us also to know that it's not the beginning, but the continuing of the same unto the end, until it be thoroughly finished, which yielded the true glory. I'll read. You want me to pray again? O Lord God, when thou givest to thy servants to endeavor any great matter, grant us also to know that it's not the beginning, but the continuing of the same unto the end, until it be thoroughly finished, which yielded the true glory. It's not being engineer. It's when we start pointing that Ghana, the momentum in Ghana is now recognized. At least you can name one thing that Ghanaian engineers are pushing. There's lots of work to be done. IPPs, VRA, Gridco, all these things are Ghanaian engineers. No, so, but the center, there's something around it which must touch the ordinary person, which is the road, the line of the Odo River, tidying it up, making sure that almost all the drains in Ghana, big drains are. If you go to Europe, they put wood sticks on the side so that everything looks clean and tidy. Here, you don't know, we don't have nowhere to dump our goods, so garbage. So obviously, if we do that, they will dump it over it. But let's do it. So long live the ideals and vision of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. I want to thank you for your attention, and I really want to wish you every success in the years ahead. Thank you.
Let's continue with our appreciation. I'm sure Engineer President, serious indelible mark in our minds as engineers. And I can see a lot of smiles in all our faces. It means that we have a lot of work to do as engineers. Yes, we are working, but we are not, Ghanaians are not seeing the kind of things we are doing. So I've been arguing with my friends that, look, no matter what, my kids will do, as part of their first degree, they will do engineering. Yes, their first degree. That is my opinion. After that, they can decide to do other things else. Because an engineer can become a lawyer, An engineer can become a doctor. An engineer can become an accountant. An accountant to become, you have to still go back to SHS to do your, your basic physics, chemistry, and, so engineering is very, very important. And I'm happy that somebody who has more like a business background has spoken deep engineering to us. And we are so grateful. I nearly said engineer Esau Benjamin. Very so we'll give you an honor. So Chairman has given me permission that we ask questions or comments or discussions. Our friends online, would they type or sorry? So our friends, if you want to ask a question, please let us know by raising your hand. We'll give you the opportunity to do so. So we'll start from those in-house here. Any question, comment? Yes. Can we get a mic to Uncle over there? Please, you mention your name. Let's know your name, and then probably your name. That's fine with us. Oh, from that we'll come to you, Uncle. Sorry, Oh, okay. You are helping us. Fine. Thank you very much. I thought she was going to ask the question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Son Benjamin, thanks for the brilliant presentation. It's nice hearing from you based on the experience we have had with our colleagues. I just want to make a few comments on Compact 1. Oh, my name is George Afuleidu, a pensioner who used to work with the Minister of Roads and Highways. Yeah. I was involved in the Compact 1, especially with regards to the rules. And we worked closely with Mr. Amma, Mr. Benjamin, before you came on board, yes. And I think you did a very wonderful job. There are a few comments that you made that I just want to react to because none of my colleagues from the road sector is here, so I just wanted to highlight a few issues. The sector is facing serious challenges with overcommitment, arrears, and what have you. So in terms of sustainability, there's no way. I drive on the Ojobi Junction to Konyako Road. It was done by MEDA. You constructed a new bridge and a very beautiful road. But now it's gone. You drive on the road and there's nothing to be called a road, It's sad. Not that the engineers don't want to maintain, but lack of funds. They can do the planning, everything, but if the resources are not there, they cannot do it. I recently left a project I was working on, and I'm glad you mentioned that the institution should give support to the MMDAs. It's an eyesore what is happening on the ground. People are holding themselves up to engineers who have never had any basic training in engineering. And it's so difficult. Quantity surveyors have not virtually taken over the profession. They are holding themselves as engineers and what have you. So we have a long way to go. And Mr. President, I want to urge you, if there's something that you can do about it, so that as little as possible, we stem the tide. Because quantity surveyors can never hold themselves as engineers anywhere, and it's happening on the ground. And it's an eyesore. Thank you very much.
What do you call it? A contribution, right? We appreciate the contribution. Mr. President, someone to say, President, do something before you leave. Any other question, contribution from the floor here? Do you have some online? Our friends online, any question, contribution? Yes, anybody here, please? Okay, Vice President Sophia. Yes, please give it to her.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, so I have enjoyed the sharing of. Yes, my name is Sophia Tijani. Yes, Engineer Sophia Abena Tijani. I have enjoyed listening to soon to be engineer Benjamin Eson. Eson Benjamin. And I hear him say that, you know, he took engineers for granted, or he didn't really, no, he didn't take them for granted. He didn't pay attention to them. I'm wondering, is it because the engineers that he encountered were not vocal, were they not, you know, speaking up or marketing whatever it is that they were doing? Because somewhere you said that they will come in and then go unnoticed, but they were doing so much. And I like the tribute that you pay to engineers. And I also heard you say that it looks like the professional body, that's GHIE, there's so much that we can do. And what I picked is that we should be the police in the country, policing engineering works and ensuring that standards are followed. And we also want to see a monument that we are leaving for the people of Ghana. And we hear you. But help us understand why, in your own assessment, why you think that the engineers were not quote unquote seen, because you work with engineers, but you didn't really pay attention to them. I'm wondering, because all your things were centered around engineers. So that is a question to you. And to correct another thing that you said when you began, that you work with engineers, but it seemed like you didn't have much interaction with GHI. But the engineers that you mentioned are all our members. And Engineer Muna was once a council member. And so indirectly, you were engaging with GHI. Thank you.
All right, so we'll pick one last question online, then we will come to. Okay, I'll give PP. Please bring the mic here. PP and JF. Then after that, Isaac will come to you, okay, online.
Roberta J. I think the speaker raised an issue of concern, and that is maintenance of existing infrastructure. And it highlights the delicate balancing act which many of our engineers have to undertake or are unable to undertake because of the various institutions and work they are doing. They see that things are not being done if we're looking at, say, the maintenance aspect. And sometimes even when the budget cannot perform the work to be undertaken, but they are unable to voice it out, in quote, for fear that they would be victimized or their company may not be able to get a future job. And as a nation, we need perhaps to get to a stage where we can get out of this situation, just like some other professions are able to do it. But I think we need to make a conscious effort, and nothing comes without sacrifice. No development has ever been achieved without the citizens or the professions being able to sacrifice. So my brothers and sisters in the profession, I think we have to try and sacrifice in order to satisfy the speaker that if MEDA handed something to us, even if we are unable to maintain it, we have pointed it out to the authorities that something has to be done. But if we see it and we don't point it out, then it appears that we don't recognize what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's get back to. All right, so we'll pick one question online, then we'll come to you, Mr. Isaac. Please go ahead with your.
Thank you, Ode. I'm very grateful.
You have muted, please unmute yourself.
Sorry, a minute. I'm muted. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please introduce yourself for us, please.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Engineer Isaac Bwachegweni. I've been working with the mining company for the last 30 years. And indeed, if we talk about maintenance, we cannot take out as engineers in the mining industry. One question that came to my mind when the speaker was speaking, it was as though he's from a different planet. Having worked for Ghana for so many years and starting to talk, I know he was providing questions, solutions, but then a bit of lambasting engineering. It came to mind that, look, what were we doing in the days of when, let's talk about Unilever, when the engineers were the unsung heroes? Because more often than not, you see the engineers as unsung heroes and other commercial people that we have created items for to sell become as though they were actually the initiators of it. And so my question is, all the work that our big fan, the speaker, Mr. Son Benjamin, I want to know what strategy did you put in place in terms of when working with Unilever Media to actually bring to the fore the engineering expertise, so that at least these things will be used as a basis to support us as an institution, so that we'll be able to move forward. But definitely, we cannot stay where we are now. We need to move forward. Hitherto, engineers in mining were in silos, and I know engineer chairman knows about it because we've worked together in AGC and then AGC before. We were young engineers. But then I want to know that what are we going to do from the speaker, especially your experience with engineers? What strategy was put in place to get this done? Thank you.
This evening, I'm basking the glory of engineering. Engineer Son Benjamin. First and foremost, let me thank you for the questions. I think the first one was on something on sustainability, and it was also related to funding. I mean, generally, there's no abundance of funds lying around for anything. Every company, if you have even a private sector company, you also have limited funds and budgets to work with. But you strategize and use that, and you move on, and you move on, and you move on, and keep the ball rolling. Yes, governments have to satisfy everybody, but I say brighten your corner. A little activity done and done well will continue, will stay longer. If you build a school and you build it haphazardly, as I was talking about, you built a school, but the school won't last. So it's not all the time the amount of money, but if you built a good school, you have saved money so that you can do something else. So my worry is the fact that we may be looking at very big pictures all the time, but we're leaving the small things undone. It's something that worries me. Our roadsides are dirty. If they were clean and tidy, the buildings that are coming up in Ghana are first class. Tourists coming in here would love this country. That might increase the tourist return, the numbers that come here, and we make money. If they come here and we are dirty, they may not see anything, but they are not comfortable with your environment. They will go to Kigali. They may go to Kigali. They go to Europe, and Europe, some places are, I won't say everywhere is clean, but this is what we look for. So it's not so much money, but what you do with the money, the planning, the strategic arrangement, the things that you do with the money every year, so that you build onto it. So when the governments reach for the sky, sometimes it's a bit baffling. But I'm not a politician, so I don't know what moves them. So it's a different ballgame. Mrs. Engineer Tijani said that yours is a very professional, good, but it's not it has to be made glamorous. You know, it's the engineer is worried about his equipment. He's on the plant and he's making sure it works. He's in overalls. I mean, I'm just looking at the plant. That is his joy. The fact that the machine works and everything goes properly. The managing director is making speeches somewhere. Yeah. The marketing guy is in the marketplace, busily selling and making money. So there are people who are looking inside in, and there are people who are looking inside out. I am looking inside out. You see what I mean? I mean, I'm looking at what I can get. And when I go out, I also bring what is outside into the company. So and we'll use it so that at the bottom, I can continue to relate to the people outside there. But we don't leave them hanging. I can mention one engineer, Engineer Nsaku. Young Nsaku. Yeah. He was Unilever, bright-eyed boy. You see his potential all around. Just a cuckoo electricity here. He's this and that and that and that. He will go places. I'm not saying that every engineer will become a managing director, but some become chief engineers. Everybody rises to a level. There are so many people who don't become marketing directors, but they're also in the company. So it's not, the momentum is not just for the fact that you are engineer, you become a managing director. But there's what I said is the fact that they don't make noise. They are the nature of their work. They don't make too much. It's an institution that must glorify them. You know, to make sure that the institution stands, and I say the issue of engineers, when they say, when Ghana is talking, they are the people sitting on the table. The engineers in there will be working on the gold mines and other places and the rest of it. You may not know who they are, but it's not that you don't recognize them. I think we do recognize them. There was an issue of involvement of MEDA or any other place. Yes. You know, when I was with MEDA, one day I was invited to Harvard to go and discuss, just as you do, details of what it is that we are doing, the sequence, how we do it, the planning, the thinking behind it, blah, blah, blah. Why? Some engineers some guys do MBA from Harvard visited Ghana, and they saw a lot of work on the N1. They put their minds together and wrote a paper, went to Harvard. They were there, and they wanted us to come and fill the gaps so that they can do a case study around it. I lived in Ghana throughout. Tech didn't come to me. No university, none. Nobody even organized to bring 50 students to come on the road. Did you do that? No. To see what they are doing. I mean, come and see what the type of bitumen we are laying, the coring of the road, the things that we do as practical things. Nobody came. The same way in the brewery, I would have expected that once in a while, we have a visit from the institution. They come to see the MD. They want to have a chat with us. They want to see how things are going, how the engineering things are going, boilers, how they are being managed, and of course, boilers can blow up. You know, it gives you some idea that somebody's looking over your shoulder. But if for 10 years, you never heard of anybody, and you manage in your own quiet, yeah, the engineer might be there, but he might never even attend any of your meetings. Never. So I think there should be an arrangement where you are meeting contractors, you are meeting, that's what I said, brainstorming sessions, training, seminars, and the rest of them. It looks a lot, but it could be a 3-hour, if you don't get a speaker like me talking for 2 hours, but if you get somebody will come in, quick, we finished, and then everybody gets something, and they know that they are being recognized. That, for me, magazine, they're doing things. How many interactions has the institution of engineers had with magazine? Or all these guys who are repairing vehicles, doing this, who missed them? They are left hanging. So the institution is the one which means the voice of engineering. And I read about Estonia. How many population? About 5 million, 4 million. The engineers pushed government, pushed. They point out, okay, it's digitalization and the rest of it. And they use that to turn the country around. Yeah, in Ghana, politicians can see go to hell, but I don't think there's a Minister of Environment. What type of relationship do we have them? Because the individuals, they are individuals. They won't talk for you. Because the minister says, shut up. Shut up. Maintenance culture, I think, is spoken about it. I just love this idea of cleaning the roadsides. To me, it's fantastic. With the roller, cutting lawns. You go to Europe and you see a small tractor. In Ghana, the man will get a tractor, you go and cut for private people and charge them and take the money in his pocket. Government work itself, you won't do it. They can't prune trees. They can't, the issue about desalinization. We have water going to the sea. What do you do with it? So I think training and retraining, I've said that. So let's continue on that basis. I know it's tough, but in the long run, we'll make a headway.
Thank you very much. Do you have any question online? Anybody online? All right. So here, 1, 2, 3 minutes, we'll wind or close down our program. Any question, comment? Any question, comment? Yes, it means that for me, what I've learned is that we still have a lot to do as an institution. But I think we have started some, especially with the Mr. Son Benjamin, with the craftsmen. That's why we are struggling of Ghana Institute of Engineers. We are now institution of engineering. Engineering because we have brought on board all the spectrum of practitioners. So it's not only professional engineers. We have the craftsmen, we have the technicians, and we have the professional engineering technology. We are working hard to ensure that our craftsmen, as you mentioned, our masons, our steel benders, our painters, they are licensed. At least we should keep on moving. All right. So I'll give it to Chairman to close us with his remarks.
Thank you very much. So I think you'd agree with me. This has been a very entertaining session we've had. I remember when I went to visit Mr. Ison Benjamin in his house one day, and he was sharing his stories about his time at MEDA. I said, we have to hear this. And we are glad we heard it, right? But I was reminded of a few things worth sharing and maybe summarizing. I'm reminded that we are the builders of the society, whether we are road contractors, electricity providers, or we provide water to the community. Engineers do that. And we should take pride, a lot of pride in that. I think the other thing that for me I was reminded about is that, Mr. Son Benjamin so far said we are quiet. We may be quiet, we like to get our work done, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to be good. And sometimes the environment that we work in depends on our behavior. We talked about the Unilevers and the Heinekens. We also talked about government. And I think the gentleman talked about the mines. Many of you will know that when you work for a private company or an international company, you are forced to deal with the Germans and the British and the Indians. Your standards better be good. You are competing with the rest of the world. When we work for government, sometimes, sadly, we slip. Our standards fall. What is your challenge as a young engineer? Is your challenge to just say, yes, sir, it's okay? Or your challenge is to call out your boss and say, no, we have to do it properly? That is difficult for young people sometimes. But we're telling you as engineers, your pride as an engineer requires you to be good. Not to be political, to be good. And that's what you must take away from this session tonight. Thank you very much. We're glad we had you.
All right, so I'll give the closing prayer. After that, we'll line up here for a group photograph, then we can leave. Dave, are you okay? You want to say, President? Thank God, Darlington, are you going to say something to your teaming supporters?
Thank
On
you.
behalf of the Tenka divisions.
Yes, thank you, Engineer Ade. Good evening to everyone. I must say this session has been very great. Personally, I've learned quite a lot from a very experienced non-engineer to become an engineer.
It's okay now.
Yeah, so thank you very much for this wonderful delivery. And on behalf of the technical divisions, made up of mechanical, Greek, marine, electrical, electronics, chemical mining, and civil engineering. That's the 4 main divisions, technical divisions that we have in the institution. I want to thank you for your time spent with us. And we also want to thank the chairman for chairing this program for us. And last but not the least, our invited guests, and then the chairman, the president of the institution, and the vice president of the institution, as well as our executive director. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. And yes, our colleagues online, thank you for spending all the time with us. And then I think the number was 122. I think it's dropped down a little bit. Yes, we had 122 at the point in time. 125, okay. That was very good. And I think the in-person, we are about 43 thereabouts. So thank you very much. And then let's all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
All right. We'll pray quickly and then we'll line up here for a group photo.